move, or is there more pain to come? So there's a bit of news coming later on today, which is either going to make or break the current situation for us. If there's some bullish news later, these things are going to fly. If it's not so good, well, we're going to be looking at new lows. So guys, I'm taking you through my plan for today. I'm taking you through a couple of altcoins that I think could benefit or not benefit from some news later. So we got so much to talk about here today. Let's get right into it. Guys, and remember, as always, hit that like, hit the bell, hit the subscribe. I've got my sidekick here today. There he is, ready to go. Tinfoil hat not on just yet, but there might be some stuff later on. Let's look at Banter Bubbles. Now, before you absolutely shit yourself, this is Banter Bubbles on the weekly. I just thought, let's take a look and see what the performers are currently this week. What are we actually looking at? So OM has been one of the better performers. XCN has been decent this week, so good recovery plays. But overall, if you look at this picture, things are still looking a bit gloomy at the moment, and we've still got a lot of these altcoins sitting at major resistances. So no real changes from yesterday, bar one or two that actually started popping a bit higher. You will see hype yesterday. We covered that hype token as well. That is on your right-hand side there. So that is now 13% up this week. So that thing is starting to perform. But I'd say overall, we are still down in spite of quite a strong Bitcoin recovery bounce, which has been fairly good to us. Now, let's take a look at what is going on in the short term. Let's pull out our BTC. And here we go. Okay, so just in terms of where we are now, yesterday I gave you this VWAP high at 102,600 to 102,700 was the level I was watching yesterday evening. Now, we did pump straight into that zone for us, and we did get a nice little rejection there. So there was a short on offer in the 618 and VWAP region. Nice strong reversal on BTC, and we are now sitting on some interesting support while we wait for this news. Now, what is this news? I'm going to tell you about it in a couple of minutes, so just hang in there. But right now, support we are watching is 98,300. That is going to be your current marker for today. Then a little bit lower down, if we get a medium-sized sell-off, you're most likely looking at 95,500, 95,600. That is your most reasonable next level that I would pay attention to. You can see we've got nice horizontals tying in here for you as well. And then we do have a backup plan. We've got our 100-day MA, just bringing up a little bit of wick support here for you guys. So anything down to even this 94,700 region could get interesting there for us from that perspective. Okay, so downside stuff, you know what we are looking at. Now, in terms of, let's say we get some bullish news later on today, in terms of, what BTC does is going to, dictate how we play things. But for me, if we do get some short-term bullish pumps, I think once again, we're going to get a short opportunity at this 107,700 region. I think that'll offer us something one more time. Or alternatively, if we do push higher, I would expect some kind of big opportunity at the 106K region. So look out for that. Those are still the two bangers that you want to pay attention to. If we get a hard pump, those are the levels that I'm going to be watching there, potential rejections in those zones. And then, of course, we're going to watch our altcoins sitting at their corresponding areas. So if some of the alts are popping into resistance zones when BTC is rejecting at some of those areas, that is typically where you can start looking to take profit on some alts, or maybe you want to jump into some head short potentials there for you guys. Okay, let's get into a couple more things. So you've got your highs, you've got your lows that I'm watching now. Let's not get too extreme, but let's say the market doesn't like what is said in the next couple of hours. Where can we go? So firstly, we've got to look at these lows getting tested again. That is obviously on the table. We've discussed at length that these wicks often get retested after they have been created. So we've seen multiple times when we have at a sell-off, these wicks get taken out. So 91K is on the table for me. Then we do have, now not to scare anybody, but 88K is on the table for us. And then if we have to get a little bit more extreme, you can see I've still got some wicks in these regions down here, down to 85K. So that is your worst case scenario for today if things go absolutely filthy. But in terms of what we're looking at now, that's pretty much the picture that I am going to be playing during the course of the next 24 hours. Now, let's look at a couple of things going on there. And here's a normal day in the crypto markets. Now, if you guys are trading leverage and things like that, you will understand this emotion. I think we all go through this at some point, and it's amazing how this can affect your mood. Can you hear this? I mean, this is a standard play. You think you're going to get stopped, and then bang, this thing pumps back up. So yeah, I'm sure you guys can relate, all the leverage traders. Let me know in the chats how you guys are doing. Let me see who's in the house here at the moment. I see Papa Yas says ladies, please, looking for ladies. And Enough and I says filthy chart. Now, Mark, are you looking at this chart, or are you looking at that BTC chart I just gave you? What else is news? Well, look at this. Come on, do something. I mean, this is us this past week. This has been absolute filth to trade both sides. And you can see we've had that beautiful collapse over the last couple of days. Then we had that beautiful green candle pump. I got stopped on a JUP short yesterday. They hit our second target. So I'm recapping that JUP short position that I gave you guys yesterday. I'm going to go through that one again, and we're going to look at that one today and see if there are lessons in that one. But here we go. We got pumped out of a lot of things there. And then this just came out as well. Breaking news. If you are using your crypto wallet browser to look at corn, okay, you could be in trouble because these guys are wiping out your wallets. So just be careful, guys. This is breaking news. This is important shit going down. But I mean, Carl Chessay at the bottom says, who the fuck actually uses this for corn? Like, who actually does that? So I mean, it wouldn't make sense that you really are doing that, guys. Are you? I mean, are you really doing that? Well, anyway, if you are, be careful. Okay, watch out. That stuff could get your wallets could get taken out. And exactly, Abe, who the fuck is doing that? Why would you do that? Unless a bullish Mike says, wallet trained, backs trained, balls trained. Okay, President Trump signs executive order to create a sovereign wealth fund. So that was a little bit of the bullish news that you guys saw yesterday. Okay, and John says, here comes another dump. Okay, here comes another dump, according to John. So let's take a look. So XRP Daily says the crypto Tsar, David Sachs, will hold a press conference on February the 4th with key Republican policymakers to discuss Washington's digital asset regulatory plans. Okay, this is the big news at the moment. This is what's getting everyone excited. And Lark Davis, I mean, really getting a little bit ahead of himself here potentially. But he says David Sachs is holding a press conference at 2:30 p.m. Do you think he will announce a strategic Bitcoin reserve today? Now, isn't this what the whole market was waiting for Trump to announce not too long ago? James, is it possible? Is it happening?
What, that he mentions it? I mean, it's quite possible he mentions it. My concern is that the crypto world has convinced themselves he's going to mention it, and then when he doesn't, they dump the crap again. So let's not get too excited, okay, guys? Let's hopeful, cautiously hopeful.
We go level by level. Okay, so what you're going to do is, okay, you're going to look at, you're going to go to this chart, okay, and obviously, hopefully things aren't too severe either way, okay, and you're going to play these big levels, 102,700, 106K. Those are the big ones I like to the upside. Obviously, if it's an absolute rocket ship and the market loves this shit, nothing's going to stop a freight train. But for me, 102,700, 106K, big ones for me. Then 98K, 95,600, even down a touch on that 100-day. So that's really what you need to pay attention to with some volatility incoming. Make sure you have your areas covered. And 𝗙𝗖𝗟𝗟𝗢𝗟 says just 48 hours after the trade war began, Trump has reached the deal with both Canada and Mexico. We know about that from yesterday. So that thing has obviously improved. This includes both countries deploying 10,000 personnel to monitor the borders and reduce the drugs trade. So this was obviously a stick that he was using to beat them with. And that is now, he's gotten what he wanted. And now they have paused the tariffs. So I would only assume that, these tariffs will continue to get kicked down the road as long as Canada and Mexico are cooperating with whatever Uncle Donald wants at the meantime. So right now it was to stop the drug trafficking or some of the drug trades, and now he's got what he wanted. Okay, so a good step for them. The market obviously loved that yesterday. And then China threatened a 10 to 15% tariff on oil, US oil, agricultural equipment, coal, and LNG. I'm guessing that's gas. Okay, so I mean that is pretty substantial now. So these trade wars are cooking, and the S&P doesn't care. The S&P is pumping. Okay, S&P says we don't give a shit about any tariffs from China. Look at this. We've jumped off our 100-day MA 618 from yesterday. Absolute rocket ship, and we are sending back to the highs at the moment. So S&P traders, we're still watching 6,150. That is going to be your upside range high. That's your next potential rejection zone, I would expect, if we are sending it to these types of levels. So just look out there to the upside, but absolute rocket ship. S&P not interested in the trade wars anymore, and they are tired now. They just want to buy. And something else that is not interested in anything is the gold chart. And 𝗓𝗏𝗟𝗏 telling us today, well, if you like gold, you're going to love Bitcoin. Now, not too long ago, we had gold absolutely firing. Gold was sending, Bitcoin was lagging. We were getting upset with everything. What happened? Gold started reversing, and then Bitcoin absolutely took off. Now, that was not too long ago. So gold sets the bar, then it slows down, and then Bitcoin comes through later. Now, that is something we could be looking at the moment. So we need to wait for gold to reject so that we can get some kind of Bitcoin action. And you would have seen what happened. This is the gold weekly chart when things did start slowing down for gold. This was late October. What happened? Trump pumped, gold went down, bang. Okay, and Bitcoin went up. Now gold sending up again. Let's see, are we going to get our consolidation? Are we going to get our pullback? Is that going to fire off BTC for us? So that is something that you guys want to be paying attention to. Watch this gold chart. It did help us last time, and it could be coming into play for us later on. Now, another interesting thing for you guys is after we have a massive sell-off like we had this past weekend, what you can often do is take a look at the CME chart. Now, this is the Bitcoin CME futures chart on the 1 hour, and that often tells you a story. And on a weekend, if there's way too much price action to the up or downside, it leaves a gap on the CME chart. And you can see what happened. This thing had absolutely gapped down, and eventually it's now made its way back and it's closed the CME gap. So this confirms again that this region over here is potential resistance for us, and that is why that short was a nice little play yesterday evening into that VWAP and 618. So that is still resistance for us, and no changes there. But just a little note, after a big price move up or down on the weekends, pull out the CME chart, identify where the gap is. That can often give you some confluence on some rejection zones. And for example, that was it over there for us, tying in with VWAPs and 618. So a little banger trick there for you guys. And then in terms of what Ben Cowan has to say now, and he's got something interesting going on. He says, fascinating how this chart always has a habit of spiking back to 82%. This chart is BTC dominance, ETH dominance, USDT dominance, and USDC dominance all smashed together. Okay, now that is that is a degree of science there. But what he's showing us here is this thing has spiked into these highs. So if we use this every time, is that the bottom? You know, was that the bottom of the move? Are we going to get a nice strong push now, or a nice grind back down on some of these tokens, or grind back up on some of these tokens? So interesting chart. The last time we went through was 2021. That is interesting. Okay, so we've reacted once again off that chart. It remains to be seen if that was the marker. Now let's get into and make money, travel, enjoy. Obviously trading the Asia session now in Chart Hackers. Guys, remember, Chart Hackers is obviously a lot more than just me being in there. We've got the most amazing team in there, and we've got Trader Jay, the emu. He's trading some absolute bangers on that Asia session for the crew in there, and they are cleaning up longs and shorts all day long, and he's absolutely loving it. And I see people are starting to lose a little bit of sleep there at the moment. So hang in there, but enjoy it. Okay, let's talk altcoins. So no changes from yesterday. This is still a very important chart that I need you guys to watch, and this is going to be applicable to all of your altcoins. So if you're sitting in lazy longs at the moment, I still want to point out these are critical danger zones. These are massive rejection zones that we can't take too lightly. I've started opening a few head shorts plays here in the meantime, just laddering into shorts, not going too aggressive here, just in case we start getting these situations where the market starts falling over and they want to come and start filling some wicks. Remember, we've discussed this at length, that they love to come back and fill these wicks at some point. Now, it could be much later on. We could pump higher first before they come down. But remember, you want to be prepared for these moves at any major resistance areas. And this is major resistance zone number 1 for total 3, which is the total altcoin market, excluding Bitcoin and ETH. Okay, so that is a danger zone for me until we start breaking through. I just want to point that out. Pranil says, Dylan, can I have a Chart Hackers? Guys, I've got something for you. I'm basically going to hand you money today. Okay, make sure you are watching in 1, 2, 3, 4, about 6 or 7 slides. make sure you are watching. I'm going to give you the equivalent of like $100 or something. Just hang around. Okay, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Make sure you are ready and make sure you are hitting those likes so that we can make sure that we can deliver the best deal for you guys in a sec. Okay. So total 3 in a little bit of danger. Now, another important one for us is this dominance. Now, it's nice, okay? The way this thing has rejected from these highs. Look at that rejection candle. It's an absolute thing of beauty. Okay, so a beautiful rejection from dominance. And obviously, we know this thing caused major damage for altcoins. It was a major problem. We had ETH going down to $2,000. And I mean, a lot of us were looking at 2.8 as the first stop. We hadn't said it can never go back to $2,000, but fuck me, I thought they were going to stop it at 2.8 or 2.9, somewhere in that region first before they sent it lower. But there we are. Now, taking a look at dominance, beautiful dump, and that has obviously helped your altcoins. You will note they pumped 30%, 40%, 50%. Now the test is, where is the next dominance bounce? So for me, if that bounces here, right on the support, which is basically where we were yesterday, that tells me our total 3 is going to reject, and then we are going to be filling those wicks. So look out for that. If the dominance bounce is down here, okay, a little bit lower down, I'm talking 59.9% down to 59.7%, then you're most likely going to get that rejection up there, okay? And that is going to tell you that this total 3 is going to pump a little bit higher. So this is a critical stage, and it's a difficult one to call because we've got dominance on key support here, might lose the support. We've got total 3 at resistance, might want to pop through. So things are definitely getting interesting there in the market, and that is why we're making sure you guys are covered here with longs and short setups, just in case these things start going against us. Okay, so market cap, Bitcoin dominance, you've got the picture. Where do the alts get punished? Either here, they send it up at this current level, or alternatively, 59.7, the alts get punished down there. So look out for those regions over there and enjoy the ride. You know, if we get this move lower down, that's going to give you some leeway on the alts. That's going to help you just to get a little bit more aggressive on them. Just be careful when we hit those levels. That's when you take your foot off the gas, okay? And USDT dominance, also an interesting one for us. This is now sitting at resistance. So what we want to see, obviously, is a rejection now. Let's flip this thing over just to give you a picture. You can see that. Look at that beautiful support there. So what we want to see now is that start holding, and then we want to see that one grind back to that range. So if we flip this one back quickly, you can see the story. We just want to see that make its way down. That means that money is flowing back into the markets for us. Okay. And that is what we are looking for. Now, let's get into a couple more things. So we can talk ETH again. You know we love talking ETH, but this is kind of what happens with ETH. When you finally think it's going to do something, they poke it with a stick, and there it goes. Okay, it falls straight over. And, you know, Eric Trump came out at the same time, okay, saying, in my opinion, it's a great time to add ETH. Now, maybe he's got the entries that they wanted. Maybe they bought it. James, what did they buy it at? 2.5, somewhere around there. And I mean, how much? What was the total? It was a massive amount, if I'm not mistaken.
It was 220 million yesterday within a 7-hour period, because they already had 200 million, so they're up to 420 million now. And then they're buying again today too. I know at least one confirmed buy of 5 million more today. It's a smaller buy, but yeah, apparently they're building their token on the ETH network, and that's why they're buying so much. Right, this World Liberty financial token is built on ETH, so that's why they're into that so much, and they're going to keep buying.
Okay, well, you know, and Abe says it quite nicely. He says, who are we to argue with the president's son? So exactly, that is why we're going to keep watching ETH. And now we saw today they bought another $5 million worth of ETH. Okay, so something going on. I mean, maybe it's the dumbest move in history or whatever. They're the only people buying ETH, or maybe they are actually the smartest people in the room, accumulating tons of ETH. And at some point, they're going to push the button and ETH is going to go to $7,000. Okay, so that is a possibility there for us, and that is why I keep watching ETH. Now here is ETH on the weekly versus BTC, and you can see we are still positioned relatively bearish at the moment. So any pushes into these types of resistance bands, I am expecting some kind of short-term rejection. So even if we say, you know, we are now bullish on ETH and we're looking for higher lows, at some point we need to reject so that we can print those higher lows and start making our way higher. So we can't be that bearish if we do this, for example, and then start making our way up, okay? And that's not going to be the worst thing, but there is going to be short-term pain on some of these alts when they start coming to fill some of those wicks. Now, remember, I keep going on for the last 2 days about filling these wicks. All we can do is use history after a dump. And history after a dump tells us a lot of the time these wicks come to get filled. You get complacent, then they bleed you down slowly. And that is the worst pain. And then they fill those wicks and they often take you to a 618 or they take you back to the lows before sending it up again, if at all. Sometimes you lose those levels. Okay, so that is just something we need to be aware of and just be ready for it at all times. And that is why I've started a couple of head short plays now at these resistance areas again, and low leverage stuff, not looking for massive moves, but we want to just be ready in case the market starts drifting a little bit lower. So, for example, here is ETH at major resistance on the weekly again. You've seen the same picture on Total 3. You're going to see it on tons of other altcoins at the moment. So this is what's making me nervous. Until we break through these levels, we need to be a little bit more cautious now. So again, expecting some kind of move lower down on ETH. And now I'm going to break this down for you on a degen basis. I just want you guys to get the best possible opportunity here to get some ETH if there is a meltdown. So right now, we know ETH is at resistance. We understand that. We turn bullish when we blow through this 2829 level, when we really start cracking that. Until then, we're going to be careful and just using history. The last time we had a dump in ETH, there was our wick. And they came back and they filled it pretty quickly. But there's been scenarios where they take a little bit longer. So in terms of degen plays for you guys, and this is now for the higher leverage guys, the margin guys, the spot guys, your bias just needs to be, if you're comfortable with the fact that the bottom is in, okay, after that move, if you're comfortable with that, then you can start looking to DCA and start buying some of these alts, all the way down. And this is for the slow moving guys, the guys that don't mind sitting in spot and those things. Then for the leverage guys, it gets a little bit trickier because you want to be as greedy as possible with your entries and you want to start identifying zones where you can accumulate a position or start building one for that matter, or snipe an amazing entry. So looking at the current ETH chart on the 15 minutes, there's only, a few big zones that we need to pay attention to. And if you're trading low leverage stuff, the best thing that I can do is say to you, we actually want to watch ETH on this current rising trend. If we start losing this trend over here, then you're going to see an opportunity start developing round about this 2.6 as a potential buy zone for you guys. Number one for ETH, then this thing can drift lower. And this would be a nice accumulation area as well, 2,500. And then you've got quite a big confluence zone, 2,400. There's a lot going on here. There's a 618 and there's a ton of horizontals in this area. I just want to highlight this for you as to why this is a big level. You can see we got quite a lot of 1 hour here and 4 hour candles sitting in this cluster. Okay, so we know that there's confluence here on the 618 for us as well. And we understand that that is also a nice region for us to start looking at some potential ETH play. So in terms of high leverage stuff, if you lose that trend, then you can start looking to build a position on ETH. Now, the problem comes with a lot of these wicks is these things are huge. Okay, these wicks are massive in size. And if you start losing these types of levels, unfortunately, it's 13% down. Okay, so again, you need to be greedy with your entries. You need to understand where to cut, because the nature of a pump like this can obviously put you in a spot of bother if you're sitting on high leverage. Now, my current thesis is that we're going to high a low or we're going to hold the lows worst case. Can your leverage account handle ETH coming all the way down here if you're buying it at the highs? Okay, you need to decide if that works for you or not. So for me, typically for a higher conviction play, typically what I'm looking for, I'm going to buy little bits of ETH on the way down here. Nothing serious, low leverage. Obviously, we don't want to see that big move to the downside, but we need to be prepped for it if we can. And then I'm going to make the assumption that the low is 2,000. Okay, and if we close under that 2,000, well, then that potential long or swing long that we're going to look at there is going to get rinsed. Okay, so spot buyers, you do what you need to do. Okay, you do what Uncle Donald is doing. They're just buying it. Okay, they're buying at any price. They don't care. Leverage traders, be strategic. If you're looking for a short, sharp trade, well, that's another story. I'm going to show you a couple of 382 bounces today on some of the alts, and you can tie in short, sharp trades with little dips on the 15-minute and 1 hour. So you can get your little scalps just trading these types of moves on our chart prime oscillator. Really simple stuff off these good zones. Or alternatively, you can look to accumulate on any weakness. Okay, so Glenn Goldberg, I hope you are happy with that explanation. Are you in there, Glenn? Are you in Hackers? Let me know if Glenn's in Hackers. He's always been on the show. I hope he's in Hackers there with us. And where are you now? Okay, so who says you solo bearish? Am I too bearish here, guys? Am I being a little bit bearish? I'm just looking for these possible wick fills. I just want you guys to be prepped. Okay, let's give away some money. Who wants some money? Okay, are you ready? Okay, get ready. Here we go. So there's a special offer. I've got a new exchange partner. Okay, they are called Bank. Okay, it's our new exchange partner, and they have an exclusive offer for anybody watching this show. Now, it gets even better than this. If you're already in Hackers, okay, don't sign up. If you're already in Hackers, don't sign up here. Hackers have got their own one. Hackers are getting an even better deal. Okay, so if you're in Hackers, the first 400 members in Hackers are getting an even better deal than what you see here. Okay, if you're not in Hackers, here is a deal for you, and I'm going to help you get into Hackers with this deal. Okay, so take a look at what they're saying here. They say sign up now to Bank, get 10% off to join Hackers. Okay, so if you sign up now, you're going to get a welcome email and a 10% discount to join Chart Hackers. Now, optional for you, step one. This is optional. If you KYC, you get 30 USDT trading bonus, okay, immediately. Step two, complete your first deposit of $100 and get 50 USDT futures bonus. So if you put $100 in, you get 50. Okay, if you put 500, you're going to get 250, okay, to trade with. Step three, complete your trades of no less than 100 USDT and receive 100% cash back on your trading fees. Okay, and here they've broken it down for you. So if you put in $500, if you put in a net deposit of 1,000, they're giving you $500. If you put in 500, they're giving you 250. If you put in 100, they're giving you 50. Okay, and on top of that, you're going to get a 10% discount to join Chart Hackers. Now, remember, Hackers, guys, there's already a link for you. Okay, and we're sorting you out. There's an amazing deal there for the first 400 Hackers members that join on the Hackers link. Okay, so go to the link in the Hackers and make sure you are joining that one. And then those of you watching the show, how do you get this? Go under the show doc. Here we are. Go under the show doc. And you're going to see Bank sitting here for you guys. Click on Bank. Let's just find it. There it is. Bank Exchange. No KYC required. Claim up to 50% trading bonus. Sign up there on that link, guys, and let's get trading. We are opening an Bank channel in Chart Hackers where our DGen traders are going to be dropping some of their DGen charts in there, and you guys are going to be well taken care of. Okay, so just make sure you are on Bank there with us, and we are going to sort you guys out. Okay, let's go. And let's talk ADA, okay? Ali Chart says, whales have offloaded 330 million ADA and haven't bought them dip yet, okay? I mean, somebody's buying this dip, though, okay? Some big fish is buying this dip. I mean, look at this Cardano chart. And yesterday, we looked at 786 fibs. And we looked at pullbacks. Look at this, a macro 786 pull for Cardano. Another example of a major capitulation onto a major macro fib pull. I cannot remind you again how simple this stuff can be. And there it is, bouncing a huge bounce off the 786 tied in with your weekly horizontal levels. I mean, look at that beautiful weekly cluster there of candles. So a nice hot zone there for us. Now, what do we do with Cardano? I've got a DGen set up for you guys, and I've got this higher time frame. So number one, just like ETH, we are sitting at resistance. Just like Total 3, we are sitting at resistance. We are in a danger area at the moment until we either drop back and fill parts of the wick, or until we break higher and then start kicking on to higher levels. Okay, so same principle as ETH, same principle as a lot of these altcoins. So let's take a look here from a DGen perspective, and let's try and understand where we can get a little bit of action. Now, if we have a light sell-off, I think it's fair to assume that if the market's going to stay bullish, they want to fill a portion of the wick, if not the whole wick. If they do that, that is typically going to be a 618 visit. And what I love about this Cardano is that we've got a 618 tied in with our 200-day moving average. Now, we know history tells us if we go through all these alts, this is quite a strong support and resistance marker over time. And we can often use that in confluence with other levels and things to give us a reaction. So 200-day moving average, 618, some horizontals as well makes sense for me for Cardano if we dip into 6247. Okay, so that is an interesting zone, 6247. Obviously, we need to take into account the lows. If they are going to bleed it, that is going to fall or become part of the equation. Okay, so understand that, you know, if we don't bounce on that 618, there is still more pain to the downside. Now, you noted ETH was about 10%. Look at this wick. It is 17%. So high leverage traders, I'm warning you again, if they want to come and fill this wick, that's a 17% dip. If you're trading 20x leverage, 50x leverage, you are putting yourself at extreme risk until we have some structure here and until we can get some direction out of the market. So right now, what we know is higher time frame, big resistance, lower time frame, potential wick fills on the table. Where can we get bounces on the way down? Now, I'm going to show you a few typical examples, but number one, 0.7. Okay, I've got a VWAP here and a 382. That's a typical bounce zone where you could get a reaction like the one you can see in front of your screen. You might get a small little reaction or small little bounce off that. So 0.7, that could be the start of a bigger move for Cardano. So that is something that you can pay attention to. And then lower down, the higher conviction one is 6247. Watch that level, 6247. And just bear in mind, the back of your mind, that wick is filthy. You don't typically see that, okay? And that opens up major risk. That opens up 17% of downside risk there for you guys. And then if you look at the major chart, you can see that would just be a retest of some big weekly levels. So if we do hit those lows, that is a bounce zone, the 50 region. It's just going to be super unpleasant if you're sitting in leverage and you are overcooked and your positions are too big if you have to ride it down to those levels. So just play safe there. You've got some Cardano levels. Now remember, all these charts go straight into Chart Hackers after the show. You'll be able to watch them. Just obviously watch the show for context, what I'm talking about. Don't just look at a chart and say, oh, there's an arrow there and there's a marker here and this means this. Listen to what I'm saying about it for context and understanding. And then that'll obviously help you with your decision making when you are going through. Now remember, if you're dropping into a 382, for example, you want to make sure you're getting a reset on the oscillator if you want to get that bounce. So you typically want to look for these types of resets on the oscillator if you are looking for the bounce. So that is how you want to tie it in. You don't want to randomly jump into one of these levels without some kind of confluence, even if it's from the 15 minutes telling you that there might be some kind of reversal. Okay, Matty, I've got Tao and I've got Ondo for you, bro. It's coming in hot. Okay, coming in hot here. Let's go. Here's Solana. Let's talk Sol. Oh, okay. I think we're in trouble here. Sol has now finally started rejecting. So this is not a good look for us at the moment. And I think we are going to be heading a little bit lower now. So Sol, another typical example here for us. This is our horizontal resistance band that we're going to be watching. You can see we are now rejecting at a typical resistance band here at the moment. And now we are starting to drop lower. So interesting here for us Sol traders. Okay, what you want to see to remain bullish, reclaiming now 220. You want to reclaim 220. You can see we've got a danger zone here ahead of us. So reclaim 220. Then if this thing melts a little bit lower down, you're watching 195. That's a potential bounce zone for me. And then you're watching a visit to that 200-day MA at 182. So these are my reasonable levels here. Depends on the size of the pullback. And Glenn says, Sol doesn't want a banana. I concur. Glenn, this is bullshit. It must just go up. Why can't they just send it straight back up? But here we go, guys. So 195 and 182. These make sense to me as potential reaction zones here for Sol. So, don't panic just yet unless you've got super tight leverage. But in terms of what we're looking at now, after that typical rejection here, watch those two levels to the downside. That should be your bounce zone. Hello, sir. Hello, Mr. Spicer. Nice to see you here. What can I do for you, sir? Tell me what I can do for you, Mr. Spicer. How can I help you? Nice to see this man. Okay, let's go. Let's talk a couple of other things. Here's Sui, and this was a little write-up I did for Chart Hackers earlier today. Cosmo, I've got you, bro. Here it is. And Zevi says XRP is going to zero. Why is XRP going to zero? Come on, bro. Are you sending it straight to zero here?
I have a ban button, right? I do have a ban button. Just saying.
Don't upset James yet. Don't send XRP to zero. Okay, let's talk Sui, and then I've got to get into a couple of others for you. So Sui was an interesting one today because I've been talking about we getting these pumps, and then I've been talking about we getting pullbacks, and we look for a 382, we look for a 618. Now, we've already seen a couple of alts hit the 382 today. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the bottom. They can still come back to the 618. They can still come back to the lows. But what we can do is react on those types of areas. So Sui was a great example. I dropped this one in Hackers earlier today, and you can see I'm writing on the charts here, so you guys have a little bit of context as to what I'm talking about. But just so you can see, after a massive dump like that, you pull your fibs from the lows to the highs. Look where Sui rejected. Just note there, 100-day moving average rejection. And then what did it bounce off? It bounced off our 382 fib. Okay, so we pulled our 382 and we've got our first reaction. So in terms of support, 3.29, that is level number one. That's what you're going to be watching. And you've had a nice rejection or reaction there. So 3.29, that is support number one you want to watch. The level that I really have my eyes on is either going to be 2.95 or it's going to be the lows. Those are the higher conviction areas there for me. So you might find a situation where these alts pump up and then they reject and then they come back to those levels. Now, that is typically what I'd like to see because we've seen those types of plays in the past. So ideally 2.94, 2.95, and then you're looking at the lows as your next possible region for SUI, and that would be a double bottom. Look at that nice horizontal there for you guys, and that is what we're going to be playing. Now, any big pumps today to the upside, I would say exercise caution. This is your danger zone, 4.23 up to round about 4.5. That whole region for me is an area where things could get tired. It's an area where things could slow down. Okay, so if you pump into that area, that is your first zone. You're looking for TPs. Maybe you want to plan ahead short, those types of things. It's those types of areas that you want to play around with. Okay, so watch that 4.23 to 4.5 is a region there for you guys. Obviously, if it blows through that, you're going to look at these horizontals. Okay, those are going to come into account next. Remember, always have a backup plan. If you are looking at longs or you're looking at shorts, like I did with you guys yesterday with JUP, always have your next level. Always have your backup plan and know what your plan is afterwards. Don't be in a position where you enter a trade and then you don't have your next plan. Like, how do you react next? And that is what I really want you guys to do. And I want you guys to have a plan for everything. So that is your first level. Look at your next levels, obviously higher up, in case this stuff starts ripping through. But in terms of SUI, that's my game plan there at the moment. And then a couple of trades that I've got going on here. The big one at the moment for me, you can see at the bottom there, is Ondo. Okay, that is one of my big ones now. And you can see I'm building some head shorts. You can see I've opened up a small whiff head short. I've got an AVAX head short. I've got a Rune short that I've been running for a while. I've got a burner Lido position in case Trump and his friends start doing things. And then I've got Render, OM, and Hype. Now, Render was from Chart Hackers today. OM was from the show yesterday, and Hype was from the show yesterday. Okay, so those things are now active. Let's take a look at a couple of these things. Why is Ondo important? And respect the damp. Ondo, I need more. I like this guy. So it's a big week for Ondo, okay? And Ondo, why is it a big week? So global markets go live on February 8th to the 10th, okay? You will be able to use or trade US tokenized equities on Ondo Finance. Let's illustrate an example, blah, blah, blah. For instance, consider Alice, a client of Ondo GM who wishes to purchase Tesla stock. She can fund her account with stable coins or fiat and instruct Ondo Global Markets via smart contract to buy Tesla. Okay, that's pretty big stuff. Okay, that's really big shit that is going down for Ondo. Now, this was obviously posted January 9th by Marty Party. We looked at this tweet before. And here is the Ondo chart. And this is why it's so intriguing. And leading into this, the event that they're having at the moment, I'm trying to just get positioned so that we can really start aping this thing if there is momentum. Okay, Dylan, Trump just canceled the meeting. Okay, we have to see the famous girl. Did he really cancel the meeting, James? That's international.
I'm going to look now and see if there's anything behind this. That would not be good.
Okay, let us know. Okay, so Ondo at the moment, 12 hour, you can see what's going on. We've got a descending wedge and we've got danger ahead. So no changes from yesterday for that matter. We are still at a danger zone. But in terms of building an Ondo position, the big support for me that I want to watch for the short term at the moment is 1.27. So I don't really want to close under 1.27. It's going to burn me. So what I want to see is obviously Ondo float around that region. I want it to hold 1.27 ideally, but the real fun for Ondo comes when we start popping through this type of zone. That is going to be the real add-on. That is going to be the real aggressive zone that we're going to look at for Ondo. And that is going to be Ondo breaking trend and Ondo reclaiming major horizontals. If we can reclaim those major horizontals, then we're going to turn on pretty bullish for Ondo. And we're going to look for some higher levels. Now, the first one you're going to look at is probably a wick fill to the upside at about 2. Just above 2 is what you're going to be watching. But first things first, let's hold 1.29. Let's hold that support. If we can't hold that support, well, we're going to reassess tomorrow or the next day what the next game plan is. If we pump through, we adding 1.6, 1.65. We're adding to that position. We want to grow that size quite aggressively there and see if we can send Ondo into this 2.09. Now, hopefully, the February 8th to the 10th, when it goes live, that might be a sell the event situation. So if we do get that pump, let's make sure that we are taking profits and pushing into those areas. And I'm speaking out loud because I'm telling myself that while I'm telling you. Okay, so if you see me not taking profits on the 8th or the 10th of February, you better tell me. Okay, you better remind me that it is profit time, even if we are getting too euphoric here on Ondo. And Matty says the meeting is still on. Okay, so guys, I mean, I love the local news feed here at the moment, just flowing in and flowing out. And JD Brews, hello, sir. Well, hang out with us. Good to always see you in the chats. Really good to have you here. And I mean, Glenn Goldberg's on it today. The man's on fire. I mean, he's even posting emojis. Okay, let's go. What else have I got for you? Let's go OM. Now, this was one we spoke about yesterday on the show, and OMRWA looking super bullish. There's lots of things happening behind this project, but most importantly, it's fundamentals. And this thing recovered really nicely relative to some other alts as well after that dump. And it's just something we couldn't ignore. So I've been trying to build an OM position. Obviously now not llooking for this thing to dump much lower. It's going to put me under pressure. So you can see yesterday we were looking for a pop and a retest. We got a tiny retest, it wasn't a big retest, and this thing absolutely started firing. So there's a part of me, as much as I want this thing to go up, there's a part of me that tells me this thing is coming back down to take out some of this liquidity here first. So, realistically, I think I might have to revisit this one. But in terms of a possible entry, looking down there, and we'll have to see what the market is doing at the time. But 5.54 down to about 5.43 makes sense to me. I've got VWAP in that area as well. We've got our 382. We've got support. We've got horizontals. We've got a wick here as well. So OM, if you get that chart there, might be worth taking on a little bit of risk there. And you can watch our oscillator. This will be obviously your guide that you're going to watch. You want to see this oscillator just drift a little bit lower. If you can get this oscillator on the 1 hour tying in with a reversal on this type of level, then you're most likely getting a little bounce off that thing. If it does fall over, you're going to look at your next reversal zone, and you want to make sure that oscillator is getting ready to turn over. Okay, look what happened here. When we sold off, we got that sharp reversal point. We got oversold. We got a VWAP green print as well, and things started looking a little bit better there for us. So watching those two zones for me on OM. And look, if we start losing these types of levels, I'm probably going to be under a bit of pressure, might cut that thing, and then we'll have to look again at these lower levels. Okay, so that is the OM game plan. Then Render was from Chart Hackers this morning, and this is another example for you guys. So yesterday I gave you a rejection zone for Render. It was this horizontal that we were looking at. This was a big weekly level for us, and pushing into resistance. So we were expecting some kind of rejection in those types of zones. I also highlighted this one to the upside as well. So that was another possible danger zone there. And this is just a typical rejection area for an altcoin. Okay, obviously it doesn't always work, but typically this is what you get when you hit these guys. So what I said today for Chart Hackers, we obviously looking for a wick fill. Now, the best case that we can get is maybe a 618. Okay, that gives us our higher low, and that gives us a nice bounce. The worst case is normally this double bottom situation that they come and give you, but that comes with a lot of wick pain. Okay, that comes with another 13% on that wick. So look out for that if it does move a little bit lower. But my plan today was looking for bounces off this region. It was VWAP and 382. So typical little move. That trade is now green. So now the option is put your stop at entry and just let it ride, see what happens. Or if you want to build this thing, well, then anticipate some kind of sell-off, okay? Because you can see we might easily start selling off here. And then you're going to be looking for buys at this 4.15 down to 4. Okay, that's pretty much what you're going to be looking at. So that's the basic render setup that I've got here. So I've said possible reactions, 4.46 and 4. Ideally waiting for the oscillator to reset on the 1 hour. Okay, we need this thing to really drop lower down. And then I said divergence is about to print on the 12 hour. So that is quite bullish for us. We want to see bullish divergence on these altcoins wherever we can, because that often tells us that we might be getting a bigger time frame announcement, a bigger time frame move. So you can see here, we've got a higher low on the oscillator at the moment, and we are printing lower lows on the price. Okay, so that tells us bigger picture. If we can survive a wick visit, then there could be a big move in store for render. Okay, so that is why I was intrigued at the 382, and I think it's worth a look again at the 618. So 4.15 down to 4. That is your next area that you are going to look to try and snag a couple of buys. Obviously, guys, it's possible that it can come fill the entire wick. So don't put yourself in a position where you are over leveraged and that wick has still got another 10% to the downside, okay? Because that can put you in a world of pain. So manage your position size, manage your leverage. And if you're not feeling right, don't take the trade, okay? Keep it simple. You can see the game plan here as to what we are looking for. Okay, so that chart will be in chart hackers for you guys. Then this was hype. Did anybody get this guy? Yesterday, I did drop this one in the show as well. So hype was looking relatively bullish, and a couple of nice moves. Now, I missed the guard mode entry, which is the one I gave you. It was off the anchored VWAP. Now, at the time, it was a little bit lower. I think we were looking at that, but you can see it hit that VWAP. And then what you do when the price pushes up, as you see the price move up, you just raise your fibs until you get that confluence. Look at that confluence there. So it came back. It hit the VWAP and it hit the 382 and the horizontal for quite a nice bounce there on hype. Then the other option for these types of trades when you break trend is to look for a very simple trend break and retest. Now, you can't get cleaner than this in terms of a trend break and retest, and they've pretty much done it for us. Look at that. We broke the trend. We retested. You can even call that second move a retest as well of these horizontals. So, playing out okay. Now, the question remains is, do the bulls step in? Do they keep pushing this higher, or does this fall over? So what I would say is, if you didn't grab that entry now, you're probably a little bit late. Okay, so I would be super cautious now. If you didn't grab that entry yesterday, you have got about 3.6% down to the horizontals, and you've got about 6% down to the trend. Okay, so just be careful if you are trying to jump in these trades. Remember, risk reward has got to be in your favor. And at the moment, you can see that is most likely where this is going to reject 27, 28. Okay, so if you are long here and you reject up there, your risk is 4% to the upside, and it's 3% to the downside. It's not great. Okay, it's not an amazing risk reward. It might even go lower. It might even go 6%. So just understand your risk profile there and what you are looking at. But in terms of playing out nicely, bounce off the VWAP 382. I mean, that ticks the box. Love that shit. Break the trend, retest, tick the box, love that shit, and off it goes. Okay, and Panda is looking for shorts here. Okay, so Panda, look, bro, I think it's coming. I think if you get it at 27, you get it at 28, that's it's in line. Okay, you want to watch this guy, and if we do get some divergence here, bearish divergence, Panda, that's what you're going to look for there, bro. You want to see that, bang. Okay, that's going to be your short, and I think if it works out right, we're going to get this thing into that zone over there, and then that could be your possible rejection zone. Okay, so watch that guy. Yeah, I mean, look, to be fair, the entry was 23. Okay, the entry was 25. 25.6, those types of levels. If you're entering now, you're putting yourself at risk, okay? Understand that. And just play accordingly and watch your oscillators. Always watch these oscillators. That divergence print is the best because they print a lower high for you, and then they print a higher high on the price, and that gives you your clue, okay? And there's our Panda. Yeah, that is Panda from Chart Hackers. Okay, he's in there doing his stuff. Okay, you can go find him in the trading zone. So we've got a trading chat, and we've got two proper guns in there looking after you guys. And go and see what he has to say about hype. And I see Yumi says her PTSD is still hanging. Okay, mustn't hang. Don't let it hang. Don't let it hang. Okay. Let's go. What else we got here? We've got 𝗬𝗏. So here's 𝗬𝗏. And again, another example from Crypto Rand. They say this 𝗬𝗏 candle looks familiar. Now, why does it look familiar? Let's take a look. And you can see on the August dump, this thing got absolutely rinsed. Then what did they do? They came back. They filled what looks like a third of the wick, give or take. And then they sent it a little bit higher. So here we are with a similar wick. Could that be the bottom of 𝗬𝗏 for now? Well, that remains to be seen. And again, for you guys, what I've got again is a typical 382 so far, just like you saw on Render, just like you saw on the others. And we might get a situation here where they might still want to send it back to that 618. So I want to just say again, caution, guys. Look what we've got in front of us. we've got this big daily level that I told you guys about yesterday for 𝗬𝗨. So what happened? We popped through the daily, fake out at the VWAP, okay, sent it back down. What did we hit? 345, okay, bouncing there. VWAP 382. So that is a technical, that is a bounce play for you guys. Look out, okay, lower high. This thing could be coming a bit lower. So I would say your safest zone is going to be 303 is what you're going to be watching. And Mo's, like Anna keeps trading this fart coin in chart hackers. She loves this thing. I see Mo's called it Anna's fart coin now. Well, Anna, congrats. I mean, it's literally your coin now. Okay, so 𝗬𝗨, just to discuss, support 345, number one. Your next support 303. Those are feasible bounce zones for me. Let's say if we're using history as a guide, we didn't fill the wick. Okay, so if we're not going to fill the wick using history, then you might get your 300 bounce. Okay, remember the same story until we get things relaxed again, until the news starts subsiding. That wick is worth 21%. Can you afford to sit in a high leverage trade at 300, knowing that your next reasonable rejection zone is 21% down? Okay, so just manage your risk, understand what risk you are playing with, and understand the profile. Okay, understand what you guys are doing there. So, okay, 𝗬𝗨, you've got the deal. And in terms of upside pumps, I just want to give you a couple of danger zones. You can see I've got a trend here in play. I've got the 200, I've got the 50, I've got VWAPs as well. So we know that we've got a massive area ahead at 450. And that most likely at some point becomes your rejection zone. It becomes your trouble zone later on. So if we do get a pump, your option at the time, you're probably going to run into that. You might get some kind of meltdown there. Alternatively, if it blows right through, we're going to be looking for support. Okay, we'll be looking for support and some kind of trend break through that zone. Okay, but we'll see what happens when we hit that area. It could be a short. If we blow through and find support, well, there could be some breakout longs. We will deal with that when we get there. Okay, so right now, just watch out, 450 danger area, and if the timing's right, we will make sure that you guys are covered. Okay, let's go. Oh, I got a couple more things for you guys. Okay, so here's JUP, and now this is an interesting one for you guys. I wanted to play this this replay for you guys, and this is all about understanding your next play. You know, if you're sitting in a trade and your trade fails, okay, yeah, take the loss. But what is your next game plan? How do you make it back? Where's your next zone? You know, how do you react to these things? So I just want to play this for you. This was a scenario we looked at yesterday on JUP. We've got a descending trend. We're bumping into 200-day. We're bumping into 50. We're bumping into 382. These are typical reaction zones here. And then in terms of where this thing can go, if the 1 hour keeps playing out to the upside, I would say your most reasonable next zone, okay, for your next entry, if this region fails, your most reasonable next zone for a rejection is going to be your 100-day MA to your 618. You've also got that VWAP in the way. So you're looking at 101 to 105. It's going to be your most reasonable next zone where you can look for that kind of reaction on JUP. Now, if we do get to that zone, we might be changing our game plan slightly because that's going to tell us we might be looking for some bullish retest and some bullish breakout retest play.
So that was the game plan yesterday. Now, remember, I mean, we can't get this perfect every time. Okay, so, you know, sometimes we hit some areas, they're not ready to go, but we know the next area could be dishing out something there for us. And here is an example. Okay, so this is what they gave us. And a key learning here is we had 15 minutes was talking to us. Okay, 15 minutes was talking to us at that region originally, our 15-minute oscillator. You can see it was bearish AF in that zone. But remember what I said there? I said that 1 hour is still looking quite strong. So I took the L on that trade. That 1 hour was quite strong, and it still pumped through. So what did it do? It pumped through into the next zone. So always have your next zone planned. And you can see right now, things are getting interesting. So we rejected the next zone. What did we do? They dropped it all the way down, gave you a support bounce off the 200-day, the 50-day, and the 382. Okay, so there's a nice backup trade there as well for you guys. So after that first miss, okay, so you missed the first one, then you hit the next zone. Okay, your next zone gives you 12% to the downside. Your next zone for the bounce gives you 10% to the upside. Okay, so again, you break the trend, cool, you reject at the next zone. What do? Send it down. Can you buy it on good support? 100-day MA, 200-day MA, 50-day MA, 382. Yeah, okay, that's reasonable to take on a bit of risk. and then that is your zone where you can look for an entry. Now, if you did take that one, you are obviously risk-free. You can raise your stop now and things like that. But again, this is just something I just want to point out for you guys. Okay, so always have your backup plan in play. Always understand your game plan and your next move. Okay, don't have a different plan, or don't not have another plan in play for you guys. Okay, let's see what else going on here. Kill the 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗟𝗢𝗪. That's just his adrenaline from getting rinsed yesterday. Guys, it wasn't fucking wild. Wasn't it wild that 2 billion rinsed yesterday? Okay, $2 billion. And the Bybit guys actually say it was more. Now, if anybody did get rinsed, what you can do, okay, another way you can trade, okay, if you got rinsed, other than L-Bank, is you can join Bitfunded. So what you can see in front of you, I've got 3 funded accounts now on Bitfunded. So I've passed the challenges 3 times on different accounts. Phase 1, which was the $10,000 account. I passed base 2, which was $5,000. And I passed phase 3, which was the intermediate account. That's a $25,000 funded account. So this is real money now that I can play with on Bitfunded. How do you do that? Well, you go to challenges, you sign up for a new challenge. You pay them $7,900 or $250, depending on the size of the account you want to get. Then you get 8% trade 1 over 5 days. Then you get 5% trade 2, and then they give you a funded real money account, and you keep 80 to 90% of the profits of what you make. Okay, so I've teed up 3 of these now. We've smashed the challenges, and now we are ready to go. And what you need to do is go into the show description. It is here for you guys. Bitfunded. You can find it under the show. And where's it? Paula, where's it? Okay, it's going to be there for you guys. Bitfunded is going to magically appear for you guys under the show in a couple of seconds. Okay, so look back under the show in a couple of seconds. It will magically appear there for you. And just make sure you refresh the screen. So it is there for you guys. Okay, I never touched Injective yesterday. I really want to show you this again as another example. So anyone, I don't want you guys to get too euphoric on some of these altcoins. This is just another example for you guys. So Injective, what happened here? This is Injective on the weekly. We absolutely shat the bed. As you can see, what did we drop into? 786 macro fib pool. Where have you seen that before? On a ton of other alts. Okay, so major area, major reaction zone. But what does this tell me? Okay, Injective is actually quite bearish. We've lost this rising trend. So in terms of what the chart is telling me, any pumps to the upside could be met with rejections, okay? And that should send us down to retest these wicks to the downside, okay? So I just want to highlight that again for you guys. So look out. If there is a pump on Injective, 17 is your danger zone. If there is another pump on Injective, 20.5 is your next danger zone, okay? And look out for those areas to the upside. Those are trouble for you. That can be, if you are net long everything, those could be your head short zones. Those could just be, short zones for you guys in general. We'll obviously, when the time is right and the market is pumping, we'll discuss them at length. We'll make sure that the things are tying in together, and we make sure that it looks like a short zone. But those are typically the zones that you are going to be looking at. Okay. That's a lot of talking from me. News coming in 2 hours, guys. I think keep your eyes on Twitter. Keep your eyes on wherever they are going to be playing the news. And if there is some kind of fund launched or Bitcoin reserve, well, fuck, I think things are going to pump high. But that doesn't mean they can't reject at some of those big areas that I've given you. So look out for some of those zones there to the upside. If you are long, tighten up your stops, okay? Because if they don't give you what you want, the market might fall over, okay? So play safe out there. Back tomorrow, no matter what happens. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and we'll cover all of the stuff, and whatever they've done, we'll break it down again tomorrow. Okay, see you guys later.